Star Trek Prodigy, Season 2, Episode 18 review, Touch of Grey.
This is a very great episode.
Yeah, and Janeway kind of opening up with, yeah, that farm in Indiana is looking pretty good right now.
Yeah.
But I'm getting too old for this
Oh no, she went to the farm. That's where my doggy went.
She loves dogs. She'll take good care of them.
But yeah, some of the stuff was the twists were like pretty obvious. Like the second you see, Janeway's in front of as a Cynthia and like pulls out a gun and starts shooting, it's like, yeah, no. Like,
although to be fair, I did think that they had secretly transferred Hollow Janeway.
yeah, that was two ways that could have gone. You could have had Hollow Janeway with the mobile emitter, or just have the Doctor change models.
It's like, I am dying.
My initial thought was Hollow Janeway as fate.
Like, she'd be completely believable as Janeway because she is
Janeway.
Although just change her model.
Although give the Doctor a chance, he takes it to be melodramatic.
Yeah.
Also, Hollow Janeway has a thing for the Doctor. Like, I'm your biggest fan. I've read all of your novels.
Oh my.
Down girl.
Let's share our data together to make a child.
Oh god. They already did that. It didn't last.
Yeah.
Of course, that's a thing that happened.
Yeah, Data made a daughter. Actually, in Picard, there was something else, but where Data had children. But in Next Generation, Data made himself a daughter.
Aw. She turned evil, didn't she?
No, she died.
Oh.
Because her brain, her positronic brain didn't work properly because he didn't have the right, I don't know, but it just didn't work, and she died.
Oh. That's sad.
But yeah, it's and it would be the first time the Doctor has had a family because there was that one episode where a computer family. Yeah, he was on the holodeck running a program where he basically had a
holographic family.
Holographic family that were just that.
But he started out designing them too perfectly, and all like, oh hello, Leave It to Beaver style. And then Tess was like, oh, I'd love to meet your family. And she and B'Elanna met him, and it's like, that doesn't seem like a real family. I mean, they're nice, but maybe a little too nice. And so B'Elanna reprogrammed him, and the daughter was all, the kids were all like, you suck, It's like, you don't let me play Parcheesi squares. It's like, it's dangerous. You're too young. Mom, you never let me have any fun. And the son became a wannabe Klingon.
Yeah. Which, I mean, for the Doctor was probably a good experience because maybe helped his bedside manner a little bit.
Kind of like when Kes, was it Kes that reprogrammed his 24-hour flu? And it's like, it's been 3 days. It hasn't gone away. There's something wrong with me. Nah, I just reprogrammed you. You did what? Well, you knew how long it would last. You had plenty. You didn't have that sense of worry and confusion that comes with being sick. Now you do. And now you know what it feels like. That was not very nice.
But very constructive.
Yup.
And apparently the new badges have explosive, or is that just Janeway?
I was gonna say, cause I don't think I want to wear those.
You never know. They need a little bit of explosive. But yeah, it's just like, yeah. As soon as you saw that, it's like, that's not her. As soon as you saw it actually shoot, it's like, yeah, that's not her. And then like, Doctor does some like pretty obvious things, but I don't know that I ever saw him do it before. Like changing his model to clear, where it's got a physical form, but it doesn't. It's invisible. It wouldn't have surprised me. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I don't remember him ever doing that in Voyager once he got the mobile emitter, but it may not have come up where he needed to do that.
Yeah, I don't remember him doing that either. So,
Which, thinking about it, like that's a whole idea for a fighting group. You could a new weapon. You could beam this a hollow projector, sort of a mobile hollow projector. It doesn't have to be as compact as the Doctor's. Just sort of a self-contained powered up one that just can project several you know humanoid sort of invisible humanoid holograms that have a physical form, and then they just all pick up guns and just start when you needed to raid a ship.
Yeah, but then the guns would be visible, and you just see a bunch of floating guns.
Yeah, but then you don't necessarily know what side of the gun they're on, and they could completely change their physical form to be just the hand firing the gun. You just project the hand firing the gun at that point. But then again, at that point, you might as well just send in a drone with guns. So at that point, so it's kind of a moot point. But, and it's also not a very Federation way of doing things.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Klingons maybe.
No, it's not honorable enough.
Yeah, I suppose. This was an environment they literally couldn't get into.
Romulan maybe, definitely.
Yeah, Romulan definitely. Romulans would pull that.
Romulan definitely, but Klingons.
Unless it's an environmental issue, like they couldn't go in there because of environmental.
They wouldn't send a hologram to do their kills.
Yeah. I don't know what I was thinking, but yeah, unless it was like a hostile environment they couldn't go in themselves, they might send something like that. But yeah, at that point they would just drop torpedoes on it. Exactly. Unless they needed something, unless it was like a dangerous environment, but they still needed something from that dangerous environment, then they might come up with something like that. But that also seems a little too techy for them too. So
yeah, but then what they would do is, instead of programming something to go in for them, they would create or kidnap somebody to create a neural connection so they can go in there using an avatar instead. Because they would not send an artificial intelligence to do their work.
Well, in the past they've not been against using viruses and computer attacks to do their
thing. There's a difference between a computer attack and sending in a robot or a hologram to do their work for them. Like going onto a computer and hacking it and sending a virus or biological warfare, which is dishonorable. And if you remember, aside from the cases where it was against someone like the Dominion, they didn't really they kind of turned their nose against those that did that.
Yeah. Which it does seem to me like the Dominion would be, like Jim Hadar would be very vulnerable to that sort of attack because they're all, they're all one thing. So I imagine they didn't do they probably ended up doing some genetic diversity at some point, but I imagine the genetic diversity is not amazing. But maybe so. Like they've had to fight people before that probably realize, hey, they're all the same thing. So we just make a genetic weapon that just targets Jim Hadar. Well, that's going to work on all of them. But the founders probably ran into that problem early on and go, okay, well, we need this sort of random sampling for the immune system so that the genetic, the genes aren't easily targetable. But I don't know. We're getting off in the weeds here, but yeah. Let's see what else. Oh, she did. Okay, so they got him back.
Yeah.
So now they're all together. We don't know when Crusher's abilities will return, if ever.
Hopefully.
Like the doctor was like, we don't know when they'll return, if they will.
Yeah, it'll just take some time. He just has to put his mind to it. He needs his space.
I mean, he just has to figure out what matters.
I think Dex is stuck in a loop of sighing. Like his brain just broke. He's like,
just not even getting the satisfaction anymore.
No, he's just afraid he's gonna hyperventilate at all the sighing.
Yeah, I do have to say, I feel sorry for the time eating monster thing.
Oh, the loom?
Yeah. It's like, it's not evil, it's just hungry. Don't catch it.
Yeah, it's like a weevil.
Yeah.
From Torchwood.
Yeah, it's we're one step closer. We got everybody back in one place. Everybody's in one place. And so now we've got to somehow re-infiltrate, get the wormhole tech from Essentia to steal that wormhole tech, steal it, send, the protostar where it needs to go at Tars Lamor. Then this whole thing, the whole loop closes, and the whole thing reverts. I don't know what's going to happen when they get the protostar to Tars Lamor. It's like that closes the loop, and then Gwen is fine, assuming they can get her father in the right place in the right time and make sure he knows what's going on. But it's I guess just the whole, the stuff that the loom has already taken out, will that reappear, or that's gone forever? And if you close the loop, are the loom just disappearing because there was never a break in the timeline because you've just fixed the break in the timeline, thus resetting all the breaks in the timeline. Therefore, the loom would never come in. And then, oh no, my eyes have gone cross-eyed.
Like the doctor would probably say, timey-wimey bullshit.
Wibbly wobbly timey wimey bullshit.
Yeah.
But no, the thing with that is that by altering the past, it creates a new thread on within the timeline, and that's probably why they're called looms, because they're trying to keep the tapestry of space-time intact by destroying outlier threads like that start spiraling out of control. But they're kind of like the Langoliers, if you've read that story or seen that movie back in the 90s. It's a Stephen King. Anyways, so what? What? They are.
Oh no, I'm not. I'm going. No, just sort of trailed off. But
so they are still they're there to clean up the mess that was created by stupid temporally synced creatures who fuck up the space-time continuum. Janeway. I mean, not Janeway this time, surprisingly. Janeway's pets, I mean, proteges. But yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
But there's a question though. It's like, who chooses which timeline shouldn't exist and which timeline does? Because there's like more than one timeline that don't seem to get destroyed and are just fine.
The TVA, obviously.
Oh, of course. Sorry.
Which also brings into account, like, for this whole situation, like yes, you have the current temporal investigation sort of situation, but like so the modern of this era's temporal folks, but like later temporal folks, are they watching this whole situation go down and like, okay, eventually they close this loop, don't worry about it? Or like, like, why aren't they getting involved if this is threatening the entire timeline? Of course, by then everything could have been resolved since they're in the future. They never notice the problem because it's already resolved by the time it gets to them. But yeah, it's like, we don't need to intervene because if we intervene, we may stop it from being closed. Like, this was a weird temporal event, and we can see some weird stuff happened here, but it's self-contained. It's already resolved. The loom are no longer a threat. Everything's good. Let's just not touch it.
It's
like we're in the 29th century. This thing's closed. This temporal little blip happened back then, and we're done. We don't need to mess with it because it's already fixed.
It's like that old meme of, I couldn't have fucked things up too badly. Nobody's come back in time to try to stop me.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get one as a pet. I'm gonna name it Loomy.
Huh?
I'm gonna get one as a pet and name it Loomy.
And then it erases you.
That's a bad thing.
I know, right? You assume too much, bro.
So to make it out, dumb girl won't listen to reason, still wants to start war. But hey, at least the planet's turning against her. It's like, hey, this is stupid. You were peaceful until you started being an ass.
Started.
Well, I mean, at some point she was her modern equivalent, the modern Essentia that eventually becomes the future Essentia, was actually helpful. I remember.
Oh yeah.
So at some point she stops being nice and starts being. Yeah. So.
Although it does make you wonder what, like, we know what happened to make her that way, but like, if that gets undone, will she still have reason to be such a dick?
Yeah, and there's a lot of causality issues going on, because if this doesn't happen, then this person doesn't become a jerk, and this person doesn't become a jerk. Well, that ruins this whole timeline over here.
Exactly, like the dad. It's like, I would never become that, but yeah, you kind of have to at that point.
Yeah, is he going to play the part, or is he going to become the part? You know.
Exactly. Like, we don't know.
Yeah, like, are they gonna just mess with their memories and fudge it around to where they follow the path they need to follow in order for things to happen? Like, are they going to have to let the place burn in order to make sure, let their home, Solem burn in order to make sure the timeline stays intact? Because that sends Essentia off in one direction, that sends her father off in another direction. You know,
unless they just redo their memories,
yeah,
like adjust memories for it, and that's
yeah,
how, like, that happens. It's like they remember Solem burning, and that's why. Quick, bring in the silence. Somebody needs their memory altered.
Yeah, and
are
also.
are we gonna get a Gallifrey Falls no more?
Yeah, so when they fix the timeline, he's just gonna be evil because, like, no, because I'm guessing that maybe except for like the main characters, nobody's gonna really remember what happened. So, I mean, we'll see.
We got 2 more episodes.
Yeah, this might not be completely resolved by the time this whole thing.
Well, like I said, they are in works for another season.
Yeah.
Apparently, doesn't end.
Well, even with them being in the works for another season, that doesn't mean it's not resolved.
Oh yeah, I know, but it did say it ends in a cliffhanger though.
Oh fuck.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
fingers crossed for that season.
At least they have another season coming then.
Yes.
Because I hate when they end in cliffhangers and don't resolve anything, and then it's like, oh, bye.
Fingers crossed.
If we leave it on a cliffhanger, they're going to demand we have another season canceled. Well, screw you.
Honestly, I feel like any show that's like popular, right? But for some reason they can't make more of it, and it's in a cliffhanger, right? They should make like a blog post. It's like, okay, if we could make it here's what the ending is gonna be. Here's the end of the cliffhanger. There, you read it? Okay, it's good.
No. What they should do is go the Firefly route.
They made a movie.
Canceled our series. There's no more, so we're going to make a movie and do everything that should have been done in the first place, like everything we planned on doing at the end. Tie up all the loose ends.
Yeah, and sometimes shows get that sort of treatment, but they go like to Netflix, and they have like they have one last season on Netflix or something.
Well, that's what happens to Prodigy. Prodigy was originally Nickelodeon, and Nickelodeon wanted to cancel it, so they were bought by, I mean, not Nickelodeon, but Prodigy was bought by Netflix in order to continue it on.
Yeah. It's that sort of thing. Like when they do it, like if they'd gotten it yeah, this is sort of that happening, but it's also like leaving it on a cliffhanger when you don't have a way to guarantee that you're going to get another season. Is like maybe they already knew by the time that they got to this point that they had another season to work with, and so they sort of readjust. They may have left the back half a little more loosely written, and then when they found out they were getting another season, they tightened it up to have that cliffhanger to lead into the next season. Of course, this being Netflix, like they'll have 2 seasons. So that they'll have 2 seasons and then they'll cancel it. So you better resolve whatever you're going to resolve next season.
Yeah.
Or else you're just going to get canceled. It's either you get 2 seasons and you're done, or you get like 8 and you're just like you go on way too long. But
yeah. But See, I'm trying to think of any like side stuff.
Oh, there was a quote that I actually wrote down on my arm because it was so good, and then it washed off. But I had written it down so that I could remember it for the thing, and it's like something about I think it was because Janeway and group just like cowboyed in there to rescue him, and it's like, well, something I learned from you guys is boldness is not only for the young, and if Starfleet sticks together, we will always overcome, or something like that.
mm.
But it washed off my arm and my memory.
Well, next time get it tattooed. I mean, sheesh.
Oh my gosh, no, because I have to write other things on there.
You get those tattooed too.
Yeah.
Every time you need to write something, I'm tattooed.
What if Doc runs into the silence?
Exactly. Get us tattooed.
Doc's going to need space to do the tick marks.
So I gotta check.
I do the tick marks to count the boxes at work.
Hold still, I gotta check my arm.
Okay, it serves 2 purposes, but
okay,
still.
Good.
There's still stand.
There's still only 9 like there was last time.
My boss asked me why I don't just get a notebook. I'm like, dude, I'm gonna lose that shit. He just rolled his eyes like, yeah. He's like, don't you ever? What about getting a regular tattoo? I'm like, why use permanent marker on a dry erase board?
I love the one part where it's like, hey Murph, you're supposed to be security.
Yeah.
Okay, this is not show related, but kind of is. I have taken the wise teachings of Jacob. Percussive maintenance.
Hell yeah.
Sometimes one of my ovens likes to squeak and it's annoying, so I punch it and it stops.
Yeah.
Percussive maintenance.
The coin counter at work likes to jam up, so sometimes you gotta shake it.
Yeah, again, percussive maintenance for the win.
Percussive maintenance.
Let's see, everybody's rescued. I guess now this timeline, unless we get everything back, that planet's still gonna be in a civil war with itself.
Yeah.
Damn.
Which is ironic because that's what they tried to go back in time to stop.
Timey-wimey bullshit.
Absolutely.
Trying to think.
Which this also makes me think about, like, okay, when temporal, like, I think temporal was very the future temporal sort of monitoring of Starfleet, they were mad at Janeway for messing with the timeline so much. Like, did they add this stuff? Is this one of the things they've added to her tally?
Quite possibly.
And that's why they're so mad.
It's like, I didn't do anything this time. Yeah, well, who else are we gonna blame?
Yeah, but they're you adjacent.
Yeah. You're around. Your proximity to a situation increases the chance of temporal shenanigans by 35%.
No. It's like 100,000 light years away somewhere. Some insignificant insect messes with the timeline somehow. Janeway, what?
It's like that Simpsons meme where it's like, Bart, sorry, force of habit.
What did I do?
Like, Janeway, what? I wasn't even there this time. Oh, sorry, force of habit.
It's like, if it has anything to do with time travel, it has something to do with you.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, usually we never see them. The thing is, we never see temporal investigations sort of show up. Because that one time in DS9,
No, they showed up in
Well, I mean, like the modern equivalent, the modern day one.
Oh,
it's like
okay.
the modern bureaucrats, not the future ones, showing up to say, "Don't do that." The modern ones going, "Okay, well, what did you do?" It's like, recording it. Okay, sealing it away. It's like we usually we don't usually see those guys show up very often. They did show up, I think, one time in DS9 because of shenanigans, and they're like, "Okay, we just had all this shenanigans happen. We're, you know, was it him or somebody was like, was like Janeway was one of them, but like somebody else was like, yeah, you end up in temporal shenanigans way too often. Stop doing that." Yeah, I forget who it was.
Picard,
It was
probably.
Picard. Yeah, Picard and like Cisco. Like it was Picard or Cisco because I remember they did come to visit DS9 at some point, but we don't think we ever saw like Picard get called on the carpet and say, "Hey, you need to stop with this temporal shenanigans." But I think they I don't that they I think they did visit Cisco once. I don't remember exactly what they were irritated about at the time. It could have been anything. It could have been O'Brien and his temporal thing, or going back to Trouble with Tribbles. There's no telling.
Oh, it was Trouble with Tribbles. Because they were discussing the Trouble with Tribbles. It was the episode Trials and Tribulations.
Yeah. I don't.
It was the Trials and Tribulations was kind of them retelling what they had done.
Oh yeah, okay, and that was the framing device.
They were kind of in an interrogation, and the events was them discussing what they had done.
Yeah, that was the framing device for the whole thing. It's like, okay,
yeah,
this is how we're telling the story. Is we're telling it from that perspective.
Yeah.
Which that's a funny episode. Somebody asked for Rakhtachino one more time.
It's like, wait, they're Klingons. You're a Klingon. Why don't they have the forehead? We don't talk about that with
outsiders. Which we actually get that paid off in Enterprise. Why they don't talk about that with outsiders?
Although I'm pretty sure the thing with Enterprise was they got called out because it was supposed to happen before Kirk, but they had the next gen foreheads, and so it's like, oh shit, we gotta retcon this a little bit.
Yeah, we gotta figure out a way to make this make sense. Like, okay, yeah, no, some of them
accidentally tied it together because what happened was in the first was it the first movie, the movie that had them signing the Kittimer Accords. Worf was actually in there.
Yeah.
And that's for them to show up in the big screen. They wanted to have a very distinct alien look. Because, you know, you had Endorians and Tellurians and all these that had very distinct alien looks. And then you had the Klingons, which are supposed to be this really alien race. It's really different and really like different from humans, and yet they looked like humans, but with
Puerto Ricans, but they dress in gold lame.
Exactly.
To quote
fuzzier,
the artist,
with fuzzier eyebrows.
Yeah.
And like, let's snazz them up a bit. So they had the makeup department create those forehead ridges and the poofy hair and the leather and the, you know, the rock star look that they had. Because, I mean, the 80s, what do you expect? Was it the 80s or late 70s? I don't remember. But point is, they created that for the films, and then it carried on into next gen and beyond.
Yeah, and then then they did Enterprise. They brought in the forehead ridges, and so they have to now explain why they look like normal Klingon, or they look like TNG
Modern
Klingons instead of TOS Klingons.
Exactly.
And so then they had that whole thing like, oh yeah, no, not all of the Klingons were smooth browed at this time, just some of them. And the Enterprise just kept running into I think they kept running into the same Klingons a lot of the time. They had like a did they have like a nemesis or somebody that they ran into a few times? But yeah, they just like they happened to run into a lot of Klingons that all had the forehead thing, and then afterwards they worked on a fix, and then everybody looks like a a natural Klingon again. But
yeah, they
sometime between TOS and TNG, they got that fixed, or it was bred out of the generations. The forehead ridge gene out, was dominant, and it covered up the ridgeless gene, and that made all their future offspring, if they weren't too smooth foreheaded, like it made them all look like ordinary Klingons again.
Yeah. It was a cute little bit of ingenuity from the from it's like, oh shit, we got to fix this to making an entire new chapter of lore for the Klingons.
Yeah.
Well, I got nothing more. I'll probably think of something later, but I got nothing.
Yeah, we kind of got off in the weeds anyway.
Oh, I mean, that's nothing new.
That's nothing new. It just says we're out of things to talk about of the episode.
Oh yeah. Goodbye, bye, people. See you not next week because Turkey Day. Ciao, ciao. Yada yada. Blah.